Hey guys, I'm David Mitchell, founder and CEO of TRADEway. What if God himself gave you a blueprint for how to handle your money? Well, the Bible is a practical book. Let's dive in and see what it has to say about wealth, about risk, about leverage, and about investing, and uncover how trading in the stock market can be a powerful tool for moving towards your biggest goals. We're so happy you're here. This is The Word on Investing. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Word on Investing. We've been talking about our 80% money here lately. That's the long-term buy and hold, retirement money, and what do we do with that? Now, I'll admit that's not the fun part. The fun part is trading, the shorter-term trading. That's the 20% money. In my opinion, potential for wealth creation has to do with trading. And investing is for the money you already have, right? It doesn't create wealth, but it is for wealth. So, what happens is when you gain the skill sets for trading, you have the potential to begin to accumulate money. As you accumulate the money, you start putting that into safer positions, and we call that the 80% money. And that needs to be more highly diversified, but properly diversified. And in the last show, we talked about how the world has us over-diversified. And the Bible in Ecclesiastes 11 shows us we ought to put our money into 8 major groups. That's pretty small compared to what the world says when they have you in something like 300, 400 different positions. It's too many. But now it's interesting as we go into Ezekiel chapter 27, we see 16 subdivisions that can be within those 8 major divisions. Now remember, all this comes from the oldest book in the world that contains economic and financial principles. That's the Bible. So let's take a look at Ezekiel chapter 27 and see what it says and how this can even be correlated to modern industry groups, which is pretty phenomenal. So this is really how we developed the AMPT system at TRADEway, A-M-P-T, AMPT. And it stands for Assisted Client Managed Portfolios by TRADEway. Client managed is the key phrase there. You maintain control of your money, and we assist you in knowing what to do with the money. And it's pretty cool. And we'll be right with you all along the way, helping you to develop your portfolio, how to customize it for you and your family's needs, and so forth. If you want to check out more information on that, email ampt@tradeway.com. That's AMPT at TRADEway.com, and just ask to join an introductory webinar, free introductory webinar. I'll show you all about this thing, but it's really exciting. Now, we go into this thing about what about these subdivisions, kind of interesting. And this is how, after a lot of prayer and asking the Lord, help me put this thing together in a way that would help your people. And I think he showed me these things. It's pretty interesting how we can correlate this with modern industry groups. So Bible methodology with respect to investing is to diversify your long-term buy and hold money into 7 or 8 major divisions. And what we've done with AMPT is the first 7 divisions, we've divided them up this way. Number 1 is U.S. equity, in other words, stocks. And you have value stocks and you have growth stocks. We've got some of each. Second division is non-U.S. equity, maybe European stocks. Third is emerging market equities. Think of Brazil, for example. Fourth is real estate. Fifth is natural resources. Sixth is bonds and inflation-protected bonds. And 7 is cash or near cash. So those are the 7 major divisions, and God said put it into 7 or 8 divisions. I'm going to show you why I didn't include the 8th one in here yet, because it's special. If you know a little bit about Bible numerology, my mentor, Dr. Erwin Freeman, wrote a book on that. They called him Brother Rocky. Some of you older folks will remember Brother Rocky Freeman, preached all over the world. But he wrote a book on Bible numerology, and there are many books out there on the subject. But the number 8 in the Bible is the number for beginning again anew, for new beginnings. And Ecclesiastes 11:2, where it says, give a portion to 7, yea, also 8, for thou knowest not what evil shall come upon the earth. It's telling us to diversify, and it tells us why we ought to diversify. It says 7 or 8. Well, I think that 8th division is for shorter term trading. And the reason I think that is because think about this. What if your financial advisor has left your money in the market all the way to the bottom of this coronavirus crash, for example? You've lost almost 40% of your total money in the whole world if they did that. Now, if you're 65 years old or 60 or even 50, how are you going to have time to make that back? In the year 2000, it took 13 years for the NASDAQ to recover to the place it was before that crash. How do you make it back? Well, the wonderful thing is God has put a lot of things on the shelf for his children. And one of the things he's put are some of these things Wall Street does, such as options, which we've talked about in the past, how to leverage and make every dollar worth $2 or $4 or $7 or even $14. That gives you power to have the potential to make money faster. So trading is what gives that potential. Long-term buy and hold does not give you the potential to make money fast, all right? It just doesn't. And yet that's what the whole world wants you to think you should be doing, is just buy and hold. All the way from the graduate schools and business schools, all the way to your parents, to everything you hear on the radio about investing. It's all geared towards investing. They don't want to talk about trading very much, but yet wealthy individuals, wealthy families have these trading skill sets. My family's had them for 4 generations. And so we teach those to the kids and grandkids. It gives them a competitive edge on the workplace. No one knows how to do this, right? So you need to learn the trading part. And so for us, the 8th great division is shorter term trading. And that's really what TRADEway talks about a whole lot. If you go out there to TRADEway.com and you sign up for Step 1, Start Your Journey, which is our live 2-day virtual event, you can take it from the comfort and the safety of your own home, and you'll go from ground zero to knowing some things that your financial advisor doesn't even know in just 2 days. You'll go to the place where you'll actually have some strategies that give you the potential to start trading and have cash flow in just 2 days. It's a great event. And then we've got the Trade in 30 Days Challenge, which is also awesome. It just takes it and goes over a 30-day period, lets you hit the pause button more, go a little bit more slowly. So whichever way you like to learn, you could go either direction. So check out Step 1, Start Your Journey, and the Trade in 30-Day Challenge out at TRADEway.com. Now that shows you about the trading part. That's this 8th division, how to make up some time if your financial investor has lost money and you need to make that back in a relatively short amount of time. Well, trading gives you the potential to do that. Investing does not. But we still need to talk about the investment part, because 80% of our money to 90% of our money should be safer and better diversified. And that's what this is talking about, the AMPed diversification system for TRADEway. And so if you need to check that out, email amped@tradeway.com and just ask to join an introductory webinar. Now, as we go out into Ecclesiastes 11, verse 2, it says, give a portion to 7, yea, 8. So we've divided the first 7 divisions are in 7 major divisions for your long-term money to be in. And the 8th is a portion of your money, not more than 20% of your total money, that would go into your short-term trading account. And you can learn the skill sets for that with TRADEway. Now we have 8 divisions: U.S. equities, non-U.S. equities, emerging market stocks, real estate, natural resources like oil, gas, silver, gold, bonds, and inflation-protected bonds. And then number 7 is cash or near cash. And then number 8 is your short-term trading account. And that's really how AMPed was put together. Now, within those 8 divisions, especially within the 8th one, the short-term trading account, and even in some of the longer-term money, we can subdivide those up into 16 subsets. And we find this in Ezekiel chapter 27. I'm going to give you some examples about this. And when you go out to do the introductory webinar for AMPed, it's going to give you detail about how we found these principles in the Bible, how we interpret them according to the proper 10 rules of Bible interpretation, and then how we apply them to today's modern world. I think you'll find it fascinating, but also comforting, because what happens as we go to the Word of God, it increases our faith. And you can't do anything you don't believe in. So I think as you begin to, your belief level in the system like this grows, it just frees you up to not be so fearful about your long-term money. Because think about it, your neighbor just lost almost 40% of his money. Our AMP clients actually made a little money, or at least stayed even, which means they'll have all their money whenever this thing reaches a bottom to put back into the market at much lower stock prices. You see that? So it's like a double whammy. They save money on the way down and have the potential to make money that their neighbor can't make on the way up because they lost money. So it's really awesome. Check it out. Now, in this one, I'll give you an example. In Ezekiel 27:6 and verse 7, it says, of the oaks of Bashan have they made thine oars. Fine linen thou spreadest forth to be thy sail. Now, obviously, that's speaking of shipbuilding. Now, do you think there could be a modern industry group that has to do with shipbuilding? For example, cargo ships, trains, trucking, FedEx, UPS, things like that. There's even an ETF, an exchange traded fund called the IYT iShares Transportation Average. That is exactly what the Word of God was talking about over 2,600, 700, 800 years ago when God was telling us, look, the world, the world, maybe technology changes, but what's out there doesn't change that much. You might consider putting some of your money into shipbuilding and transportation and an industry group like that. Well, we just happen to have one, the IYT iShares ETF. So there's an example, just one example, of how we can take this Bible information, translate that into something that's very modern, look, we don't even use mutual funds anymore, because you do realize if you had an 800, or this time in the coronavirus crash, we had a $3,000 crash in one day, and you can't get out of a mutual fund till the end of the day. But if you were with TRADEway Amped, you would be in ETFs instead, and you can get out of those in a nanosecond any time of the business day. How does that sound? So you can go to cash quickly any time of the day when you see a crash happening, and that's how we've set this thing up. All right, so that's just one example, but if you look, we've got about 16 subdivisions that came out of Ezekiel chapter 27, and they're like this. The first one is transportation, the one we just showed you the example, but you can see all these Bible examples for the others. There's mining and petroleum, there's consulting businesses, there's technology, there's automotive and farming, there's building, such as commercial and home building, department stores, believe it or not. There were things called fairs in the Old Testament, in the Bible. Fairs, these were just nothing more than a big market, not that different than Walmart today. There are commodities like plants and crops, and then there are animal commodities like cattle and so forth. There are manufacturing, merchandising, and exporting. Number 10 is metals fabrication. Number 11 is medical, pharma, and biotech. Number 12 is military contractors. Now I'm giving you the modern version of what's listed in the scripture. 13 is grocery. 14 is precious metals. 15 is multinational conglomerates. And then 16, banking and financial industries. I mean, we've got 16 subdivisions to go within these 8 major divisions of where we can put the money in a way that the authoritative Word of God says these are great things out in the world that produce money, and you can invest in these areas and not have all your eggs in one basket. That's the main message in Ecclesiastes. So, if you go out and you email amped@tradeway.com, that's AMPT@tradeway.com, and ask to join an introductory free webinar, it'll even show you the ticker symbols of these different ETFs that we can use. And we don't use mutual funds because you can't get out of them quickly enough, which can be a disaster in a time like the coronavirus crash. So it'll show you all about that. Now, we even have an educational component that goes with Amped, and we call it the Amped Prep class. And it's a really important part. There's a small fee for that, but it's really worth it because the way we've built the system, it can save you tens of thousands of dollars in management fees because you took the class. The AMP Prep class is the important educational component. It talks about where we found all this in the Bible, how we interpret it, how we apply it to today's world. And it talks about long-term investing strategies and rules. And it's about 7 one-hour sessions, probably end up being a little more than 7, maybe 8. And so there's a small tuition, but it saves you tens of thousands of dollars on the management fees with Amped, and that is amazing when you see that. So there are 3 main purposes behind Amped's creation. One is to help you gain understanding, and that is the educational component, the Amp Prep course. It's going to teach you about how long-term investing works the right way, proper diversification, neither over-diversified nor under, and so forth. It's going to teach you things like you should never leave your money in the market all the way to the bottom of a bear market crash, let alone a correction. And then the second thing is that once you gain this understanding, that brings you what's really important, and that is you gain personal control. You now control your money and you understand it rather than just giving it to a stranger who sends it up to Wall Street and they trade at no risk with your money. I don't know about you, but I don't like that concept. So you never have to allow someone else to lose 25, 35, or 50% of your total life savings in the whole world in a bear market crash. I mean, these things happen on average every 5.5 to 6 years. And it just keeps happening again and again, so that over the lifetime you lose so much in these, and it takes years to gain it back in some cases, where you're just breaking even at best. It's just not a good system. And the third thing is, when you get the understanding, you gain the personal control. The third thing is, we're there to assist you all along the way. TRADEway's SEC registered investment advisory reps are there to guide you and help you. We'll help you build your portfolio. We'll help you customize it for your family and so forth. And so it's really a cool system. Now, along with that is that the philosophical underpinnings of TRADEway, the whole TRADEway system, are built into the AMP system as well. And for example, concepts such as you should take a small portion of your portfolio and put it in shorter term trades. Listen, your financial advisor is not going to tell you to do that because they don't know how to trade. They're not going to help you with that. And they're not built in such a way they can help thousands of people trade in particular trades. We built the system to make that possible. And one of the ways we made it possible is because we left the control of your money in your hands. So each of our clients all across the country, thousands of them at one time, can push a button on their smartphone and go to cash. Whereas your advisor wouldn't have time to do that for everybody. It'd be too late by the time he got it done. So this system is set up for that. Secondly, taking measures to avoid being in equities all the way to the bottom of a bear market crash. I mean, that's a huge philosophy of our whole company, and it's built into AMP. And number three, not over-diversifying or under-diversifying. Things like that from the philosophy of our whole TRADEway system are built into AMP. Now, I just briefly want to discuss who we chose to be our partner with regard to the brokerage firm, because we never want to be a brokerage firm, but we chose Interactive Brokers. Now, that may be a company you've never even heard of, but we chose it for this reason. It is technologically powerful. The main thing they do is they undergird with technology a lot of the financial advisors in the world. Now, they also have trading platforms for retail traders, and some of us use their trading software to do our trades. So it's grown from that even to where it's into retail trading now too. But it started out to support financial advisors. The point is, their technology for that is incredible. They've been able to work with me to build exactly what I told them I wanted AMP to look like. And they built the technology behind it to make it do that. It's so good working with these guys. They're financially strong, super strong. They have some of the lowest commissions in the world. And these are the reasons I chose them. And they worked with me for over 2.5 years to put this thing and build the tools we need to make it work. Their market cap is over $30 billion. They've got an innovative technology. They've been selected and given awards for best execution. In other words, getting the best bid-ask spreads when you buy or sell something. Their diversification is made possible, the things we want to diversify into, with a press of a few buttons. And they built all this to help us put AMP together just like we wanted it to be. And we can customize the trading platform for TRADEway exactly like we wanted it, and all these cool things that they did. Also, they pay some of the highest interest, like when you do sell your holdings and you go to cash, they pay some of the highest interest while they're holding your cash of any other brokerage firm in the world. So one thing I like about them, they just made the top 3 list of all brokerages in the world in Investors Business Daily. And you know that I love Investors Business Daily. It's better than the Wall Street Journal for traders. So you got all of these great awards that they've won, like the best mobile trading platform, best order execution, best options trading, best overall rating in 2018, and then again 2019. It's just a great company. So we're really thankful to have that partnership, to be able to have the technology to do what we do with you. It's fantastic. So now remember, let's review. We put AMP together so that, number one, you could gain the understanding on how long-term investing is supposed to work. And you get that through our prep class. And secondly, when you have that understanding, it gives you personal control. You never have to let another person lose 35, 45, 50% of your total money in the world in a crash again. And then third, you have the assistance of our TRADEway advisors all along the way. Now, what that does is it helps you put together what I call a smart portfolio. I call it that because it has biblical wisdom behind it, and you're going to save money. you're going to save money in two ways. Number one, by not losing as much as your neighbor as the market tanks and you're not in it. We pull you out of it, or you pull yourself out of it. So that's the biggest way you save money. Now, secondly, you're going to save money on management assistant fees. And that money that you save, that you don't pay us, that you would have paid your other financial advisor, is money you can compound through the years, and it even makes more money. So it's really big, the savings that you get because you took advantage of the prep course. Here's kind of what we're thinking on that. If you take our prep course, you're learning more and more through the years on how all this works, and we're having to do less and less of it for you, so you don't need to pay us as much. It's just that simple. Now, I'll give you an exact example of that here in a minute. So once you email AMPT, A-M-P-T, at TRADEway.com, and you ask to join an introductory webinar, free introductory webinar, as soon as you're done with that, they're going to send you all kinds of cool documents. One of them is called the number 1 AMPT flyer, and it's pretty much the entire program on one page. Very simple to look at. And it begins to show you that we have 4 models from conservative all the way to a little bit higher risk. And you just pick the model that fits your family the best. And then we can come in there and find all these cool different industry group divisions and help you select the ones that fit what you want to do with your portfolio. And then the next step is we can actually customize it for you. And all of that's included in the AMPT program. So if you go out there and you check it out, just AMPT at TRADEway.com, send them an email and say, I'd like to join a free introductory webinar. And you'll see a lot of great detail on how this system works and get your questions answered. All right, now we have another thing. It's called the AMPT Assist program. It's a $45 per month charge on this. But what happens, in fact, if you're already with TRADEway and you're an insider, we knock that down to $30 a month, give you a discount. But what it is it gives you all of the world news with long-term time horizons. In other words, how does the news, the economic news and the world news, affect the portfolio that you're in? And it's really important because market tone is a huge effect of whether markets go up or down over time. And so with the AMPT Assist, every day you're going to know what's happening out there in the world and how that affects your portfolio. And it's also helps you be able to rebalance. Now, there's this thing called rebalancing where several times a year, and once we get past the first year of a new bull, usually about 4 times a year, we need to adjust the portfolios a little bit because there may come a time when, for example, emerging markets right now are getting killed. So we wouldn't want to have any money in emerging markets. So we can send you what we call a CSV file that you can upload into your Interactive Broker account, and it'll take all your money out of the emerging market, sell those, and put that as cash in your account. Or that can be rediversified into something safer at that point, like gold or silver. So everything can be rediversified, and we call this balancing or rebalancing your system. We need to do that maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and that's done through the AMPT Assist program, where we can actually send you a CSV file that you can upload with a few presses of the button, and it'll take your entire portfolio and rebalance it according to what's going on with the markets. It's really amazing. Sometimes we'll even have a specially called webinar, live webinar, where we get together and we talk to you about what's going on in the world and why we think we need to rebalance. So it's really pretty cool. It's all part of the AMP Prep educational system and the AMPT Assist system, where you get the news that you need to know how to apply all these rules that we're teaching you about long-term investing. And I don't want you to be afraid that you're going to have to do all this, because we do it with you. It's not like you have to immediately know how to do it. We can go in there, and our staff, they're a great backup system where they can actually get you on a Zoom meeting and go in there with you and show you how to press the buttons and make it happen really quickly when you need to diversify. And eventually you'll get where you can just do it. You don't even need to contact our guys. But at first, until you're comfortable with it, they're right there with you all along the way. One thing that's really cool about our system, there is an asset management assistant fee for us helping you manage your money, of course. And that changes based on how many assets you put with AMPT. For example, for less than $400,000 with us, it's about 1.25%. And that's an annual fee. So that's, if you figure that out per month, it's a tiny amount really, but it's an annual fee for us helping you manage your account. If you've got up to $10 million, then it's 0.85% and so forth. But what's really cool about it, no matter what level you come in with, because you took the Amped Prep course and you continue with the Amped Assist emails where you know what's going on out there in the world, so that you get better and better at doing this, and we do less and less, then what we do is every third year, we lower your management fee. Now, think about that. The third year, it actually cuts it in half. So if you started out at the 1.20% per year level, it would then be 0.6%. And then every third year after that, because you did the AMP prep class and you're continuing the AMP assist at $30 a month or $45 if you're not an insider, because you're doing that every third year, it drops at another 0.035%, all the way down until it gets to a 0.43 minimum. Now that's a lot of numbers, I know, but let me just give you an idea of the kind of money that can save you over time, okay? So let's take an example here. Let's just say someone put $400,000 into the TRADEway Amped long-term system. If you go out there and you look at what competitors do on average across the country, they're going to charge you about 1.07% forever. That's pretty much what they're going to charge you on that amount of money. And that's an annual fee, just like ours is. Sometimes, though, that doesn't cover hidden fees and so forth, whereas ours, we don't have any hidden fees. We show you everything we're charging you. But our fee is 1.2, so that's a little bit higher starting out. But what happens is by the third year, it cuts that in half to 0.6, and theirs stays at 1.07. You see, that's where you start to save money because you took advantage of the Amped Prep course and you have the education, and therefore we feel like you're doing more, we're doing less, so we charge you less and less. So let me show you the savings on that. If you go out there and you look at our system over the first 5 years, if you had about $400,000 with us, that's going to cost you about $19,200 in management fees. With the competition, they're going to charge you about $21,400. So even in the early stage of this, it saves you quite a bit of money. So you're actually saving 10%. You're saving about $2,200. Now that's money that instead of paying us, you can compound and potentially make more money with that. Now, if you go out and look at a 10-year comparison, because ours goes down in price every 3 years because you did the AMP prep class, then all of a sudden with us, you paid out about $30,500. With the competition, you would have paid out about $42,800. So that's almost a 30% savings, and that saves you about $12,300 over the first 10 years. Now, what would that look like if you were able to compound that rather than paying it out? And you go out to 20 years, we save you about 42%. That's about $35,960 we can save you on management fees. And then if you went out 30 years, you say, well, I may not live that long. Yeah, but your kids and grandkids can inherit this. And we bring them in right at the fee level you are at when that happens. So instead of paying 1.25%, they'd be at a 0.43% level. And that's where they would start. Imagine the benefit to your kids and grandkids there. The competition would still be charging a 1.07 perhaps. So that could be a $61,560 savings or 48%. So it saves you almost half of what you would pay with other companies. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's really important because you have the potential to make money with that money. So we help you gain the understanding. That helps you gain the personal control. And you have the assistance of our reps all along the way. And it's Bible-based. That's fantastic. I just think, it's just a great thing to take a look at. You can email amped@tradeway.com and ask to join our introductory free webinar. Shows you all about Amped. And we do them pretty often, so you can catch one pretty quickly. And some people will ask, well, what's the minimum you have to invest? And it's really a small amount. It's about $7,000. And the only reason we even have a minimum is you need to be able to buy at least one share of all the things in our portfolio, right? So it's about $7,000 up to multi-millions and millions of dollars. How much you want to put with us, it's very flexible and it'll work just great. All right, so think about that now. If we're going to be putting 80 to 90% of our money into a safer, better diversified long-term situation, I don't think you can find one better. I'm a little prejudiced, but I don't think you can find one better than Amped, TRADEway Amped. Because it's Bible-based. It's based on how God says we ought to diversify. It even has 16 different subdivisions that correlate to modern industry groups that we can diversify your money. So we're not over-diversified. We're not under-diversified. We've done it like the creator of the universe said to do it and why he said to do it. He says, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? And then he shows us how to do it properly. And I think it's just fantastic. So go out and take a look at it. And don't forget to go out to TRADEway.com and check out our Step 1 Start Your Journey, because the more you understand about investing as a whole, including the short-term side of it, the better, because 1/8 of what we do with Amped is the shorter-term trading. So check out Step 1 Start Your Journey at TRADEway.com. It's our live 2-day virtual event. And you can also check out Trade in 30-Day Challenge, the Trade in 30-Day Challenge. It's fantastic. It gives you this basic foundation for everything you'll need to know about investing your whole life. It is super, so check that out. And if you love what we're talking about today and you think it would help other people, please rate and review our show and come back to see us next time. We'll continue this discussion.